Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Well, some good consumer news now for those of us who are fed up, really, have been stung with an unexpected charge when using a credit card to pay for flights, for instance, or tickets.
Well, the government's announced today that new rules will come into force in January next year, banning the so-called surcharges. Sky's Dan Whitehead explains.
We've all come across that nasty surprise when paying for things like flights, concert tickets and even council charges. Get to checkout and suddenly an extra fee is added just for using your card.
It actually costs about up to 50p to process a debit card payment and around about 2% to process a credit card payment, but people get hit by much higher fees.
But now those fees levied by online retailers, corner shops and even councils and universities are to become a thing of the past. The government is banning them in a move which could save more than £470 million a year.
We want to be transparent and open and stop the rip-off of consumers who are having to pay for hidden fees, and that's why the government is acting as we are today with this legislation.
Retailers have long argued the charge is necessary to cover the cost of processing our card payments. The EU directive is to ban such fees levied by Visa and MasterCard. But the Treasury is going further, preventing fees for payment methods such as Amex, PayPal and Apple Pay. The move is being widely welcomed by shoppers, although there are some fears shops could increase prices to compensate.
And I think it's a disgrace that it hasn't been addressed before now, especially these times when people are starting to struggle.
The sooner they scrap it, the better.
I think it would be good for a consumer, and companies will have to find another strategy to ensure that they retain profits.
The changes take effect from January next year, bringing an end to credit and debit card fees stacking up against us. Dan Whitehead, Sky News.
The personal finance expert Rosie Murray-West joins us now from our central London studio. Rosie, welcome to you. Who are the worst offenders?
Who are the worst offenders? I think people like Ryanair are certainly people we know charge 2%. There are also some insurance companies that charge you when you pay for a policy, and then there are the councils who even charge you if you pay council tax, if you pay for your television, for your licence for your driving, for your tax. So even the government makes money on this.
I mean, do they have a point in the sense that there is an element of a charge that they have to pay when they're involved with credit cards and debit cards?
There is a charge. It's called an interchange fee, and it's capped at about 0.2% for debit cards and 0.3% for credit cards, meaning that charging much higher amounts than that is pure profiteering. Yeah,
by at times quite considerable margins as well. I mean, you mentioned one airline, the name which I won't repeat, but some airlines would charge per leg of a journey, of a sector.
Yes, I've not heard of too many people doing that, but certainly that would push up the costs even further.
This is a directive from the EU, but the UK government's actually gone further to include more credit card operators as well.
Yeah, I think that's really wise because that's future-proofing. We're all paying in so many different ways now. Everyone's beginning to pay with their phones. It would be a shame, I think, to stop progress by putting fees on one thing that's changing and not on other things.
The sums involved here are not inconsiderable. I mean, people might just think, OK, it's the odd pound or two here and there. But in 2010, for instance, the Treasury's own guesstimate of the figure put it approaching 500 million, 473 million spent on these charges in 2010 alone. Now, they'll go, but that's such a hefty sum that, you know, clearly companies are going to seek to recoup that by passing it on to us in other ways.
Yeah, I think that's probably true, but at least people will be able to see what something costs at the source rather than having an extra fee added on at the end. I think where we will see problems is with smaller businesses who are paying for these card processing fees and may find it harder to recoup them.
Well, I mean, that's the point, isn't it? Or one of the points, at least, in the sense that, you know, it's not just the behemoth credit card companies we're talking about here. It's the corner shops which whack on the surcharge as well.
Absolutely, and of course they don't have to take credit cards, they don't have to take debit cards, but they realise that they could cripple their business if they don't do so. Yeah, so many of them will.
Well, as we all know, increasingly this is a cashless world, isn't it? You go out there and you swipe the card and people pat their trouser pockets and there's no cash there.
No. Absolutely. So it's really important to small businesses that they do this. So they may feel that they've got no choice but to increase prices just to keep going.
OK. Rosie Murray-West joining us there from our central London studio. Rosie, thanks very much indeed for your time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.